Yes, it's a new game. It's Sim Sunday, and this does come under that Sim category. It's a new game from Aerosoft called Ready For Takeoff. So grab that parachute because you're going to need it, and let's go. So hi there, Steve here, and welcome to Ready For Takeoff. Yeah, a back to basics flight sim from Aerosoft. That is actually, if you haven't played a flight sim before, is actually pretty good. So we're going to work our way through the tutorial and end up eventually in the cockpit of the A320. That's the eventual aim. But for now, we'll start with the tutorial. I am using this, well, I've just plugged in the Xbox One controller. I haven't actually tried flying with it yet, but we'll see how we go. If you're new to my videos, as always, welcome. There's a new sim video on Sim Sunday, something from OMSI the bus simulator on a Monday, Wednesday and a Friday, something from Fernbus the coach simulator on Fernbus Thursday, something from a transport sim on Transport Tuesday, and finally something from me live on Twitch on a Saturday night. The only day missing for a YouTube video is Saturday daytime. Soon to possibly be more flight in there. We'll see how this goes. Welcome. You're on the pilot seat of a Beechcraft Baron, and we'll learn how to play the game. The game will always pause when a text window appears, like now. When you have finished reading it, close the text window. Wonderful. Have you noticed the info text field that scrolled in the lower part of the screen? This down here. This will always show your current task. The text remains here until the task has been completed. You can look around in the cockpit, press and hold the left mouse button and move the mouse. So here's our cockpit of our Beechcraft. As well as the cockpit camera, there are also external cameras. Press C to switch between cameras. So I can press the C button, and here we have the outside view of our lovely little Beechcraft Baron. Well then, let's get started. Listen to the radio communications and pay attention to the info text field below, as this will always show the next task.
Request startup.
Course delivery. Delta India November Papa Lima. With information Golf request startup.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Startup approved. Clear to destination. Antalya. Via flight plan route. Initial climb 4,000 feet. Squawk 0432.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Startup approved. Clear to Antalya. Flight planned route. Initial climb 4,000 feet. Squawk 0432. Delta India November Papa Lima. Ground on 121.7.
Ground from cockpit.
Go ahead.
Ready for engine start.
All engines clear.
Start the engines with I. Both engines are running. That's a good thing. Very good. You must now taxi to the takeoff position. The green arrows will guide you there. Using the key X, you can turn on coloured waypoint markings as an additional aid. These basically show you where to go. Use the X key to turn on the coloured waypoint
Request
markings.
taxi.
Ground. Delta India November Papa Lima.
They're already on.
Request taxi.
So we've turned them off again. Press H to release the parking brake. Accelerate with 2. Yes, it uses the number pad. And accelerate with 1. Use the rudder to steer left and right using Q and E. Through sharp curves, you should brake using B.
Delta India November Papa
Okay,
Lima.
well, I think I've got the Xbox controller
Delta India November Papa Lima. Follow the
configured for
green
this.
holding point, the runway.
So release the parking brake. I've got to do that with the keyboard, I think. Yeah. So I've got the buttons on the... Let's look around. Okay, that's my rudder. Okay. So I can look around using the right thumbstick. And the rudder are the triggers, left and right. And then accelerate and brake is the shoulder buttons. Other controllers are available. Okay, so we've got to make our way over to the runway, which is a good place to take off, really. We'll just turn that game audio down a little tiny bit, just so you'll be able to hear me in flight. Okay, so we're going to stop here.
Data India November Papa Lima. Contact tower on 118.775.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Tower on 118.775. Tower, Delta India November Papa Lima. Holding short, we are ready.
Data India November Papa Lima. Line up and wait.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Line up and wait.
Perfect, to have reached the starting position. Now you can also turn on certain aids so that you have an easier flight. Use the X key again to switch between the various aids. Use the X key to turn on the coloured waypoint markings, which it didn't give me a chance to do. Now you can see a green line connecting the waypoints. Use the X key again to switch on another aid. Use the X key to turn on the colour directional arrow. So if we press X, press X, we get a little arrow and a box in the distance disappears. So we want both of those.
Clear takeoff.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Clear takeoff.
Now you're prepared for your first takeoff. Accelerate with maximum throttle to reach enough speed for takeoff.
Takeoff.
Okay, so I'm just going to drop the game volume back a little tiny bit. There we go. So we'll give it the beans. Release the parking brake. And off we go. So graphically, yeah, the cockpit does look a bit dated, but I said for a basic flight sim,
Rotate.
speed for takeoff has been reached. Press S to take off. That's basically pull back, which is just about doing.
Positive climb.
So I was using this when I attempted to have a look at this game yesterday. I was actually using the keyboard. Well done, you're ready in the air. In case you hadn't noticed, you'll be able to see a green line in the air pointing upwards. This green line is an aid for the course to reach the destination. To reach the destination, you need to always follow the green line as it connects all the individual waypoints of your flight route. But before doing so, you should retract the landing gear. Use G to retract the landing gear.
Gear up.
Okay, so gears up. I've basically got to follow this. The landing gear has been retracted. Now you can concentrate on climbing. Try to approximately reach the height of the green line using S. There we go. So basically, we've now got to follow this line. I would show you an outside view. I'll do that when we get to the top of climb. But yeah, for a basic, if you haven't played a flight sim before and don't know the basics of how you get from one place to another place, you know, with the aids on in this, you can actually do it. So with A and D, you can roll left and right. With W, you can descend. So that's basically what I'm doing here. Left and right on the left stick will roll. Forward and back.
November Papa Lima. Departure 125.8. Bye.
Forward and back on the left stick will actually pull backwards and forwards. So I've got to fly through these boxes all the way then to my final destination. But we have got an autopilot. So when we get to the top of climb, the autopilot will come on and then we can speed up the time, which is what we'll do. So yeah, if you haven't played a flight sim before, I think this is actually quite good. It is, you know, basic flight. You haven't got to muck around with trim and flaps. It's, again, if you've got a 360 controller or an Xbox One controller that you can plug into your PC, it will go through the basics. Like now I am actually hand flying this through here, just using little tiny movements on the Xbox One controller. And what we'll do is follow this green line, which you can see in the top left. We've actually got a map of how far we've got to go. So we've got 240 kilometers to go to our destination, which is going to take 50 minutes. But we will be able to speed up the game, as I said, when we get into autopilot mode. Because obviously the toughest bit of any flight sim or any flying is the takeoff and landings. So then when we get up in the air, we'll have a look at some external views, but I just want to try and focus on, well, we are up in the air. When we get to the top of climb, we'll focus on some external views. It actually handles okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to be jumping into some X-Plane either this afternoon as I record this, or tomorrow, and possibly putting out an X-Plane video. So that will show you the difference between the two. See, this is a basic flight sim for a bit of fun. Okay, we are at 4,000 feet. I think we level off about 9,000 feet. So we are climbing 295 kilometers an hour. I actually quite like having that little window up in the top left, because it shows our route. So yeah, yesterday when I had a quick little go at this just to work out what you're supposed to do, I was using the keyboard, and it's pretty difficult to maintain a smooth flight using keyboard. So today plugged in the Xbox One controller and it works like a charm. I can't fly very straight, but it works like a charm anyway. So 5,000 feet now, still climbing. Looks like going through a bit of the cloud. But yeah, I am a very basic flight sim pilot. I could actually do with this sort of stuff in X-Plane, because it's not easy. Far too much, which is great, but the better sims like X-Plane and P3D, etc., you've got a lot more stuff to configure, so a lot more controls. But as I said, if you want to play something basic and just jump in, have a quick fly, something like this could be ideal. Okay, 6,000 feet then. I think it is about 9,000 that we get the option to put the autopilot on. Moving 300 kilometers an hour. So this thing ain't doing too bad. We're accelerating still. Climbing. I'm not sure what our rate of climb is. But we're still accelerating. And we haven't crashed. So that's always a plus. Especially when I'm flying, because it should say on the side of the plane, it is a bonus to arrive alive. Okay, through 7,000 feet then. So that little dot up in the distance, if you can see it, that's where the point, I think, we put the autopilot on. And then it takes over pretty much all the way down that straight bit. And then we take over again for the final part, the landing. Which is what we'll do. Also, you start off in this plane. I said there is the A320 as well. To fly, but may come back onto that in a later video. Okay, through 8,000 feet. See, I could have turned those boxes off and just followed the arrow to just saying up. But at least having the boxes on, it keeps me roughly in the right direction. And it shows you that if you are a back to basics flyer, or say if you've never tried a flight sim before, that this will get you in the air. Okay, we're approaching the turn now. And then the boxes disappear. and we can put the autopilot on. Actually, it doesn't give me any choice. So on your first flight, you don't really want to be hand flying all this way. Okay, so aim for the dot. That's the plan. It should come up now, which you watch when the autopilot takes over. It doesn't really follow the green line. Spacebar. There we go. Autopilot takes over. We'll put it on 8 speed. And we'll go to the external view. There we go. So I can put the controller down. So yeah, the aircraft actually looks like it's modelled fairly well from the outside anyway. And although we can't scroll down, we can only have this fixed attitude. The scenery looks okay. From a basic flight sim point of view, it does look okay. Basic controls on the screen here. We've got the throttles which are set. This is our waypoint, I think, so that's showing us which direction we're supposed to be going in. Obviously there are some basic instruments inside. We've got our airspeed, which we can zoom in on. So picture quality isn't great, but it's not about that sometimes. So there's our airspeed, there's our rudder, vertical speeds there, there's our altitude, 9,500, just over 9,500. Comms are all off there. There's that same thing that was down there. And here's our lovely co-pilot. Rather attractive. And throttles and mixture controls here. Looking quite cosy in there, isn't it? Go back to the external view then for the main hall. So yeah, again, if you've not got any flight sims, or if you're someone that's thought, it's flying for me, am I going to be able to cope with it, or just like the takeoffs and landings, this could be okay. It's classed as a fun, a fun flight sim rather than something like X-Plane or P3D that's really realistic. There's a proper sim. But yeah, it's okay. You know, graphics wise, it's fine. Scenery wise, from this height, yeah, it looks okay. You know, you're flying over a bit of mountainous terrain. You know, you're flying over the sea here. A few clouds. It's not, yeah, it's not bad. Be interesting to see what the A320 is like from an internal point of view, and then what the difference is between this and the A320. So yeah, as you can see, I was getting told off by the game for being above the line, but the autopilot seems to be like quite a way away from it. So yeah, scenery's okay, isn't it? It's pretty much Google Earth generated scenery, I think, from a height. As you can see in the airports down here. Sure where in the world this is set. No, I don't know. Can't say I recognise the place names we took off from or we're flying to. So we're 83 kilometres away now. As we come to this bend, where's the line? Oh, there. As we come to this bend, I'll have to take back over again. And then come to the tricky bit, the landing, which I did actually manage when I tried this yesterday on the keyboard. A little bit bumpy, but you know, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing, apparently. Right, so we're 56 kilometers now. It's going to come into this turn, then it's going to tell me you have control. If you know where in the world this is, then yeah, please leave a comment below. I could look it up on Google Maps, try and work out where it is, or even search the place name that we flew from or to. Okay. Autopilot off. Oop. Okay, so now I'm going to get back over here on the line again. Do you want to open game bar? No, don't open game bar, thank you very much. Okay, why is it... Okay, I don't know why it's throttled all the way down there. Okay, so 33 kilometers then. So we haven't, you notice we haven't actually talked to any other air traffic control on the flight. You thought we'd have been handed off and we'd be certainly talking to the tower here by now. Possibly. Press S to climb. No, don't want to do that. Okay, back off the throttle a little tiny bit. Again, in X-plane or something like that, we'd have overspeeded the engines by now. We're keeping it in the green now. So again, we've got to follow the boxes all the way down. So you can't even land on the wrong runway or the wrong airport, which I've done in the past. So yeah, in X-plane 11, well, I have a plan, as I mentioned before in previous flight videos. The rudder, which we have already used on the ground, also works in the air. That's where it's designed to be worked. Don't want to use it, thank you very much. Is that I've purchased the de Havilland Twin Otter, which is made in Canada, or was my one. The version I've got in the game was made in Canada. The plan that I've got for X-plane is to fly it from Canada back to the UK. Obviously not in one trip, because that would be a pretty long video, but to actually fly it in legs across, well, from Canada up across sort of towards Iceland and back down through the UK. First one of those legs I'm hoping to have put out in the next day or so, and then if it proves popular, that'll become another series on the channel. But at the moment, is all I've managed to do yesterday in X-plane was configure my rudder pedals, which I've just purchased, and get the plane off the ground. Managed to do that. I haven't yet worked out how all the nav and stuff like that works. That could be one for me for this afternoon. Okay, still following the boxes then. We've got 19 kilometers to go. Again, makes it a lot easier from a landing point of view, because all you've got to do is fly through these boxes. And it means that...
Delta India November Papa Lima. Descend 3,000 feet.
Okay, descend 3,000 feet, which it's going to get me to do by following the boxes down. I'm not exactly flying in a straight line. I think in a real flight, the autopilot would probably still be on now. To this point, it'd probably be the last bit that a pilot, although planes can auto land, but it'd be the last bit I think where the pilot would take over. Okay, we're descending now through 4,000 for 3,000, which is probably going to be where that little dot is. And then you can see the boxes carrying on round the corner there, taking us down to the runway. It's actually quite an enjoyable game to play from a flight perspective. Nice and relaxing. You haven't got to worry about, say, setting up trim and adjusting flaps and stuff like that. So if you just want to fly from A to B, I'm guessing if you actually set up a flight, which we'll do in the next video, then you'd have this green line all the way. Okay, so we've got a turn now. Okay, we're not a stunt plane, so I don't know why I turned that much of an angle. And there we go, we have the runway in sight. So we'll back off the throttle slightly. So we should now descend down now through 1500, something like that, I think it was. $2,000. Okay, which we're at now.
Gear down.
Gear down.
Gear down.
Gear is down, so that should give us a bit of drag. To accelerate back up again. And we're going down. Do not drop below 160. Well, we're fine on that at the moment. We're at 240. We'll drop the speed back a little tiny bit. See how bad a landing we can actually make in this thing.
$1,000.
Check.
Checked.
Okay, there's no real fine increments in the throttle, so it's either a little bit too high or a little bit too low. But we'll go back up with it for a moment. Getting lower now, 800 feet.
November Papa Lima. Contact tower on 119.9.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Tower on 119.9. Tower hello. Delta India November Papa Lima.
India November Papa Lima. Clear to land.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Clear to land.
Continue a careful descent and land the airplane as smoothly as possible. That's generally the idea. Somewhere down here on the runway would be nice as well. Okay. Left it a bit late contacting the tower there, I think.
100 above.
100 above.
Minimum.
Continue.
Okay. Oh, a little bit. Left the course, try again. What? Okay. So we'll try that bit again. That was just too low. Okay. It's going to take me right in that last little bit again. I thought we'd have had that then as well. Okay. Second time lucky, as they say. Because the power dropped. See, I dropped too low. Didn't anticipate how quickly the power would fall off. Okay, we're still up at 8,000. We'll keep the throttle open all the way this time, till we can. Well, at least it didn't make it do the whole flight again. That's something. Okay, we're nearly over speed here. 400 kilometers an hour. Okay, back down to the turn. It would be nicer if it would have put us back a little bit further. Well, not this far back, rather. Nice if it had put us back at the sort of the top of that last little section, because you don't really need to do this whole bit again. Okay, so 5,000 feet.
Delta India November Papa Lima, descend 3,000 feet.
Okay, descend to 3,000 feet. Yeah, okay. I didn't come up with that last time. It's obviously thinking that I'm a complete noob now and give me the full instructions again. It's like, no, you couldn't land, so we're going to give it to you again. Let's see if we can land the second time then. Okay, we're coming in very quick this time though. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Oh, a little bit high. Reminds me of that bit in GTA when you've got to fly the plane through the markers, which I never managed to do. I couldn't complete that mission. Whoa. Stunt plane flying for the win. Okay, down we come. 400 knots. 2,000 feet. We can do this. Okay, I'll leave it right till the last minute now. Yeah, okay.
Gear down.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why it's popped. Oh, okay. Let's indicate your approach altitude. Too high or too low. Way too high. Too high. Just right. Too low. Way too low. And why did it come up with that before? That'd have been quite useful. Okay, we'll back off the throttle slightly now. Now you have to descend to 1,000 feet. Use W to descend and line yourself up with a green line. Okay. Well, eventually we got to descend to ground level, I would have thought. You know, just going to 1,000 feet won't really achieve a lot. Unless you're going to jump out at 1,000 feet, maybe. That's a possibility. I could always do that. Okay, power's coming off quite nicely.
1000.
Check.
Check.
Now to descend to 800 feet. Okay, runway. So I'm too high.
November Papa Lima. Contact tower on 119.9.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Tower on 119.9. Tower hello. Delta India November Papa Lima.
November Papa Lima. Clear to land.
Delta India November Papa Lima.
That's just
Clear
right.
to land.
Too low. Okay.
100 above. Minimum.
Almost there.
Continue.
And down we come. Hit the brakes. And we got two little smiley faces.
You've got mail.
Oh, apologies for that. My phone's not on silent.
November Papa Lima. Contact ground on 121.7.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Ground 121.7. Ground hello. Delta India November Papa Lima.
November Papa Lima. Follow the greens to parking.
Delta India November Papa Lima. Follow the greens to parking.
Okay, marvellous. You've completely mastered the landing. Well done. Now you still need to taxi to your parking position. Do you remember how you drove to the starting position at the beginning? Once again, pass by all the coloured markings one after the other and follow the flashing green arrows. Okay, although I've now got no... What's that? Okay, it's only let me put the throttle to that position, so I don't take off again, I suppose. But yeah, that wasn't bad. Okay, it took 2 attempts to do the landing, but was okay. And now you're on the ground. It reminds me of FSX, actually. So we've got to go all the way down the runway. And then come back down the taxiway and to our finish point. Yeah, not a bad game. I said it is a very back to basics flight sim, but the flying was fairly enjoyable actually. I don't know why we'd come this far down the runway. Surely would have come off at a taxiway a little bit earlier. Especially now as we've got to come all the way back down there again. Unless it's allowing for the fact that I could be very, very bad at landing and forget to brake. And it then brings me all the way to the end here. Okay, so turn right. Right again. And all the way back down there again. So yeah, modelling wise, plane inside, a little bit basic, but not too bad. Outside actually looks quite nice. There's no external audio, so there's no ground audio. So my engine was not running at the start, couldn't hear vehicles going by, but I say it's not about the ground stuff, I suppose. It's about the flying, and the flying wasn't that bad. It was okay. So down the bottom here is where we've got to stop. Yes, you'd have thought we'd come off at one of these earlier taxiways, but ho. We've got there. We didn't crash. No one died. Well, hopefully no one died. Make our way down. Seem to get a little bit rapid for taxiing, though. I don't think you'd be taxiing at this sort of speed. Okay, go back to the inside view. Got to come in here now. Okay, make it to the final little bit, it'd be nice. You've now reached your parking position. What do you do now? You've got it, use a parking brake. Well, not from this speed, I would have thought, but okay. Congratulations, the flight was successfully finished. And there we go, we made it. Yeah, I actually really like that. Yeah, definitely a back to basics flight sim. Really looking forward to getting into the 320, which we'll do in the next video. If you want to see more of this, then please do comment below. Don't forget to check out the Google Plus page that I'll also link in the description below. A brilliant Google Plus community building there of sim fans. And don't forget, of course, most importantly, if you haven't done already, please do hit that subscribe button. Plenty of content from me pretty much 7 days a week, so hopefully in amongst there is something you'll enjoy and something you'll see the benefit of subscribing to. And yeah, until the next time then, if you have been, thanks very much for watching.